You gotta go
Yes.
bring them in and put
Yes.
them in this darn movie because let's face it, if you're a Pacific Islander,
Yeah.
everyone in not only Southeast Asia but the Pacific Island chain, they're all genetically connected as
Yeah.
well as culturally connected.
Yeah.
So if you put a Filipino in a movie that is centered around the Pacific Island chain, we would be easily cast.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I mean, like at that time, Ronnie, really quickly, like I'd never thought, um, I'd never thought we'd even get that close to even that. Like to see someone like Moana and Maui on screen, like a brown person with like a white
Yeah.
nose and kind of like stocky build, that meant the world to me. Even if I'm not from that part of the area specifically, but I'm pretty close. We're pretty close.
Oh, absolutely. Because I had been tweeting about animation art on my Twitter,
Yeah.
and I came across your character designs where you cited that you used your cousins and your nieces and nephews
Yeah.
as kind of the base for designing the characters where Moana had grown up. And I feel like, yes, that's the juice. That's why you put them in there, because they represent.
Yeah, what you put in what you know, and it's your
Exactly.
family.
And I felt like, of course, you got to do that. That's amazing. So every time I see Moana, I feel like, yeah, that's family right there.
Every time I see Moana 2, I always think of the Philippines. So it could be, that's a fictional place that they made up anyway. So every time I watch Moana, I think of the Philippines anyway. But
well, also Jeff Rangel worked on that too, and put his Filipino love in there as well.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jeff Rangel, for sure.
I think he is referred to as the Rangel.
The Rangel, that's
the Rangel. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'd never met anyone else with a last name Rangel.
There is no other the Rangel.
But let's get started, guys. So I wanted to start out in the beginning. You guys were leaders in your respective, crafts and divisions of, Pixar and where you are now. But let's start out with the origin story. Like growing up, what was your family environment like? Was your family supportive of you going into the arts? That's a really Filipino question. But
are we going to talk about the movie The Debut?
Let's turn the time back, Ricky. Back when you
want me to go first, Ronnie, or do you want to go first?
No, I want you to go first because I want to hear this again.
Okay, so I'm an anomaly, I think, because I was the youngest of 5 kids. I grew up in San Diego, California. My eldest brother, Efren, was the first in our family to go to college. He went to UCLA in America. And he's a doctor. And we're very proud of him. But it's that, Filipino, the Asian, be a doctor and do all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a super awesome guy. And I was the youngest of 5. Now, and I say that I'm an anomaly because my parents were very supportive of me. They, I drew, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. For people who don't know, I started drawing when I was very young, and there were these drawings on my bed headboard. Mike
get in trouble.
Comes to the rescue. He's like, I ain't messing around anymore.
Mike Bivens? Sorry.
I'm sorry. This is
no one else.
The man. Mike's
no one else in the world except for us.
Yeah.
Bobby, Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike make New Edition. So we are the kind of animation Filipino New Edition tonight, guys. And I know they were popular before anyone here was born. So
that's right.
That's cool. We're just making ourselves laugh at this point. No one else.
You know what? That's what it's all about right now, really. With all the stuff going down, we gotta make ourselves laugh.
Yeah.
Mike's awesome. He was in my wedding party, and we're real close friends. So, yeah. So
anyway, go ahead. So
I'm sorry. So there were these drawings on my bed headboard, and I asked my mom, who did these drawings, and she said, you did. You got a Sharpie marker, and you drew on the bed, and you proceeded to draw on the walls and draw on the curtains, and I drew anywhere I could draw.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of getting angry at me, she actually brought home paper and said, can you please draw on this instead of my walls? And it was back in the day of the computer paper, that kind that was that had the green stripes.
Oh yeah.
And they had the
I know
perforated
that.
dots on the edge that can go through the printer and all that stuff. There was a big ream of paper.
Yep.
And I just drew on that and drew on that. And but I'm curious if it would have been different if I was the eldest, and I was the first to come in, to go to college for the family.
Interesting.
But I remember, going to Cal Arts with them for the first time,
mm-hmm.
and walking the halls with them, and they were a little bit, there was some trepidation about, like, you're going to go to this school? I mean, we went down the hallway and there were people, they were
the menagerie, right?
Yeah.
Your parents.
It's a very liberal art school.
Oh my God.
Let things go.
What are you doing?
There's a clothing optional pool, for example. There were people walking around, and we grew up pretty conservative, and and I'm like, trust me, I'm gonna do this. And it was expensive, frankly. It's very expensive. And but I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm passionate, and trust me. And they did. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. And it's one of those things. They're no longer with us anymore, but it's one of those things where I think I hope they're very proud of the things. And I'm just beginning. I'm just starting.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where they were very supportive, and I love them for that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's great, man. That's something to be thankful for, huh? Like, just kind of like
sure.
Asian family. I mean, like, maybe we're bucking the
It's hard. It's hard to make a living as an artist, man. I honestly thought I had this starving artist stereotype in my head, and it's tough. You got to hustle. You got to do your thing. You got to work. No one's gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
You gotta work your ass off, and animation's hard. I remember doing an interview, and it's like, so you chose animation? And I'm like, I don't know. I think animation chose me, because when I was a kid, I was doing flip books. No one told me to do flip books. No one told me to go to the library and look up The Illusion of Life. I was looking for all that stuff. I was watching cartoons like a crazy person, Loved it all. And all the stuff that I loved, I've been very lucky, a lot of the stuff that I watched after school, I'd run home and watch cartoons in the morning and after school. And the stuff that really got me excited were the Warner Brothers cartoons that Maurice Noble designed.
Hell yeah.
And then later on at Cal Arts, I got to meet Maurice,
mm-hmm.
and then he took me under his wing as a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, it's like just dumb luck, magic. But then, it's when I say dumb luck, one of the things that I want to
you work hard.
is, you create your luck. I mean, you got to be in the right place at the right time. It's timing. It is dumb luck. Like meeting Ronnie at DreamWorks prior to meeting him coming up to Pixar. I mean, I had lunch with Ronnie, and you just know when amazing things happen. And then I saw him again at Pixar in the Bay Area, and it's like, whoa. And I remember Andrew Stanton going, "You're not the only Filipino at Pixar anymore." And I'm like, man, what a jerk. But I was so excited, because it was one of these things where creatively, I was one of the first Filipino artists. I think there was, I can't remember when Jeannie Santos started, but I know Ronnie came after, Nelson came after. So it was one of those things that was pretty cool. But
that's awesome.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah.
Ronnie, you should tell your story. Origin story. Tell your origin.
That's good. Ronnie, I wanted to get into that because you went to school in the you grew up in the Philippines and you made your transition here. So that's huge, man. I mean, so what was your?
Yeah, it's a longer haul, but I think that I echo a lot of what Ricky went through. Even though that Ricky was in San Diego, I was in Cavite City growing up next to a U.S. naval base, and I've always wanted to be in the U.S. And I watched cartoons. I watched The Wonderful World of Color obsessively. There was no way that that show should be broadcast in the Philippines if it wasn't for one TV station that was airing all American programming back then, and they had, The Wonderful World of Color, and I was obsessed with it. But I didn't want to do animation; I just want to watch it. And the reaction I got from drawing, Ricky drew on the headboards of his bed, I drew on the walls of the house, and I got into trouble immediately. And I got into trouble incessantly for drawing. I drew on the walls. I drew on my back in the Philippines, you have assignment notebooks for every subject.
Yeah.
And I filled those notebooks with drawings. And my dad was the most disappointed father. He was just wondering, where did I go wrong with this one? Why? Why is he like that? He was very disappointed and kind of like, he's a dad that worried about where his son was headed towards. And Rick is right, because the starving artist kind of stereotype not only was there in the Philippines, but it hangs on forever. Everybody's notion of what being an artist is about having a tough life, growing a goatee and not having a habit of eating.
Like right now.
Like right now. Now Ricky's finally made it. He's got a goatee. Anyway, so growing up in the Philippines was very difficult because I grew up in a time wherein martial law happened. And life became even tougher. We lost everything. And by the time I graduated high school, we had no place to live. But I managed to actually work on an American production of an American movie about Vietnam. I worked on Apocalypse Now, which was amazing because
I read that.
It actually got me a paycheck. My sister, my older sister, God bless her, she helped me get in. And I was there, the worst employee they could ever hire. I didn't know how to do anything. So they gave me all the shit jobs and all the way up to Paksanghan Falls. And I was in charge of aging and painting the original version of that camp that was modeled after the ruins in Cambodia. And so I was there by myself, other than another person, and a typhoon came. And when a typhoon came, the waters rose and carried the set away. And it was every man for himself. I could have died there and the story would have ended. But then I managed to get out of there, and I swore I would never work in movies. It's just terrifying. I feel like no one's watching out for you. So the long story short is that I managed to actually get to the UST. I managed to, after all my friends from high school had been graduating from college in the Philippines, I managed to get to UST. When I got to UST, I was wondering, why have people been hiding an art school from me? Because it felt like, what is this magical place where people drew and studied design and calligraphy and color theory? I felt not only happy, but I was distraught that I was so behind everyone.
Was it just because, I mean, forgive me for lack of eloquence, but like, was it because it was for rich people?
Well, it's an expensive class because you're not being a doctor, you're not being a lawyer, you're not an engineer. I managed to pass the entrance exam to the premier technical university, Mapua. I loved algebra and when I was in high school, but couldn't afford to go. So I could have been an industrial engineer. And then that went away. So anyway, I went through UST, thank goodness. And after that, I became an art director in advertising, because that's the course that they train you in. And you manage to actually kind of pull in a paycheck. Not a very big one, but enough to work in advertising for a few years. And after that, I migrated to the US.
Okay. Yeah. that, very glad you didn't become.
Apocalypse Now story is always amazing to me.
Yeah. I think I'm glad that you didn't become a architect.
There were a lot of architects in that building. The College of Architecture and Fine Arts is what you join in UST. And there's a lot of those people there were big dreamers, great artists and designers. I love them to pieces. I love that university.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went there. Jeannie Santos went there. There's a lot of those people who go into that university, which I think is the best because of how amazing people are there.
Listen,
he ended up being an architect of story.
That's what I learned. I learned that at Pixar.
Yes, true. It's so funny. I was just gonna say this is probably a waste of everyone's time, but like when I was in high school, they take those high school tests. You answered 100 questions, and at the end of it, it comes out with your perfect job. Mine was either I wanted to be an architect because drawing, and I didn't know how to do anything else. Other than that, a carpenter. And I'm like,
wow,
I can't hammer a nail into a rivet.
I can't make a spice rack to save my life.
Yeah, I don't even know what the difference between the Johnson screwdriver is versus the flathead, whatever. But like,
I don't know what those are.
Yeah, no, that's good. They probably don't exist. That's why I don't know the difference between them. But that's interesting. I was gonna ask you, Ricky, what were some of coming from Cal Arts? What were some of the biggest challenges that you had, like breaking into the industry? I know it's Cal Arts, and I know it's like the Harvard Fresh Prince of Bel-Air of art schools.
Oh, it's amazing that you say Prince of Bel-Air. Now, Ricky Nierva actually is known as the Will Smith of Filipino animation.
Oh, dude. Is that right? Oh, okay.
That I've heard that, but I didn't.
No. Let's get it
somebody told me.
If we're gonna tell stories.
Yeah, I know that. Somebody told me that kind of like Ricky Nierva, he's the Will Smith of animation dudes.
All right. So
and then when you meet Ricky, you understand. My goodness, you freaking are.
Well, what happened was, let me tell you. So there was this board up at Pixar, and they put people's pictures who works at Pixar, and then they said when they make the Pixar movie, who would play you? And so, they put Pete Docter and John and Andrew and Brad and all that stuff. And then they had some really good ones. They had actors that look like that person, but then the real good ones were actors that were the soul of that person. So Pete Sohn, for example, had Margaret Cho who played Pete Sohn. There were others like Pete Docter. He had the guy Lurch from
Family.
It was hilarious. I don't know if it's still up, but it's hilarious.
I know. This is my character.
Yeah. So what it was, well, who would play Ricky in the movie? And they go, who would play Ricky? Will Smith smashed in with Jerry Lewis.
Hi, lady.
That's what it.
Ow, the fire.
That's what went down. That's it.
No, I thought that was spot on because in the spirit of that game, the thing is that Ricky has a magnetic personality. He's actually kind of toned down right now because he's on Zoom. He's like a typhoon. He's a typhoon of personality. Yeah. And he kind of walks into the room and kind of owns it.
Ooh,
which is why you love it.
I want to do that.
Ronnie means is I come into the room and everyone says, shut up.
No. Everybody loves Ricky.
You know what people want to hear? People want to hear our crazy stories about how we went to Venezuela to do a research trip on Up. How
Yes.
we almost died, and if Pete Docter died, we would not have that movie up.
It was
Oh,
bad
sorry.
planning because they
I
put
don't know why.
everybody who was going to make the movie in a plane together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the plane went down, there goes
yeah.
the movie.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
No. I gotta tell you, it was crazy. There was a place in the Tepui called the La Ventana, which is translating to the window, and it's you're a mile up, and there's no handrails, there's no OSHA, there's no like safety things, and basically you're on the edge, and if you fall down a mile straight down. And there was this area called La Ventana, which was was it a chasm, Ronnie? It was basically two slippery rocks that do this. It was raining, and Pete Docter would jump over this chasm. And our guide, who has been, he's been mapping these places since he was 17 years old. Adrian Warren, who's the closest I've ever met to Indiana Jones in real life. He's like, Pete, did you realize what you just did? You basically hopped over a chasm that goes straight down a mile. And he was like, oh, I'm okay. It was just unbelievable, all the things that we've done.
You guys did that trip together. Sorry, Ricky.
All of us.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Ronnie and Ricky, you guys did that trip to Venezuela together too. Okay.
Go to Venezuela and climb a mountain straight up, vertical, with no ropes, hand over hand, no training. Ricky's a lot stronger and younger than me. I was right there bringing up the rear, making sure that nobody attacked us. But we climbed up for a whole afternoon, and
most of the day,
and starving and all the way up. And then by the time we got on top of the Tepui, it was about 7 in the evening. It was dark already. We had to head our headlamps.
Like what happened outside here?
We were tired. We had muscles that were sore and pulled. And if any of us got injured, there was no way to actually come back to save you or pick your body up because that's what's going to happen. You're dead. So it was a very foolish mission, but we were led by Pete Docter, who is a great dreamer. And his aspiration was to make sure that we made an authentic movie. So we had to go and visit it. So we did. And we were not prepared for the challenges of what it was to learn what it would take. Carl Fredrickson, an old man who would do the same thing, but we would know it personally so we can tell the story. Because some of you are asking is like, how do you tell a real compelling story? Well, first, you got to kind of understand what the character is going through. Going to the Tepui wasn't just a vanity project. It was for us to not only learn how to represent it visually or to kind of understand what it might feel like, but also emotionally, what would a person who's never been there before go through? And that's what Ricky and I and 9 other people did for 2 weeks.
Wow. It was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life.
It still is to me, yeah.
Yeah, it was the research trip to end all research as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, right after that, nobody did research trips anymore.
Not to that level, not to that extent, but
yeah,
it's unbelievable because there were times, I don't think a lot of these stories have been told, but we crawled into I didn't do it because I got some brains, man. Ronnie, did you crawl into that cave?
I did this.
You crawled in, right?
Yeah, you did a lot of things that I didn't do.
Like,
I did.
No, I'm not crawling into that cave, dude.
I spelunked in a cave wherein it was too tight to go into. And spelunking means that you have to go through a cave that is not the size of a human being. So you have to crawl into a hole horizontally and pull yourself. But because it's so tight that in order to pull yourself into that hole, you have to make sure that there's no air in your lungs. So you have to exhale and then pull. exhale, and pull. And you snake into this hole until you get into this little kind of room, which is all rocks, and stand in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And then the guide says, sir, look up. You see the ceiling? It's got all this plate rock on top. Do not touch, because all of the plates were hanging, that if you touch it, that caved ceiling will fall right on top of you and bury you in it. So I was in there thinking, what the hell did I just get myself into? But there's no way but to go in and go even further. And then after, when we was like, okay, let's go back outside with headlamps and the spelunking, and then we go back out. Now I'm scared. So the same hole that we crawled in, and my lungs were nervous. I couldn't concentrate to exhale. So I was stuck trying to, oh
my gosh.
But I did manage to get out there. Ricky did a lot of strenuous, very physical athlete stuff on top of that tepui.
Well, we went to the base of Angel Falls, which was one of the greatest hikes I've ever done. Ronnie was part of it too. And
Angel Falls was the one that
inspired
Paradise Falls.
Paradise Falls, yeah. It's the real waterfall. It's the longest waterfall in the world.
Yes.
It's 1 mile high, and it's so high that when the water comes off, when you're at the base, the water vaporizes into this beautiful mist.
It's like an avian mist.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So Ricky and I mean, for me, I'm not as athletic as Ricky because he's Will Smith. When after that trip, we decided that we were going to get fit and be healthier. Yeah, I still did not. But years later, many years later, I advised my good friend and brother Ricky, you gotta go to Palawan. Ooh. And then Ricky says, I can't because I'm gonna go to this conference in the Philippines. And no, you're gonna go to Palawan. I put the Jedi mind trick on him and said, so you're gonna tell Angie, his better half, that you're gonna be allowed to go to Palawan and do a walkabout by yourself. Do a spirit walkabout journey and do it. And he did it. And he came back a changed human being, not only because it was in the Philippines, but because not only spiritually, Ricky was needing a reawakening of something inside him. And he came back. He was so different. I didn't even recognize him. And he had a hike that was very dangerous in Palawan. It was full of like sharp rocks and stuff. And I'm thinking, it's like, boy, I'm so glad you came back alive because I didn't want to have to talk to Angie.
Well, I
sent you on a mission that killed you.
Yeah, no, I'm very thankful that you told me about it. I had no idea how beautiful. I went to El Nido, and I think you did too, Bobby, right?
Yeah. Really quickly, I'd love that you guys went to Venezuela. You hiked up tepuis and barely survived, and then you said, "Oh, this is where we can place two old people to go to have an adventure." Cool, guys.
That's how you do it. So people will ask, how do you make authentic, believable stories?
Well done.
You got to tell it from inside yourself.
Yeah. Well done. No,
well,
we're
so lucky that we were able to do it because, you know, when you want to get authenticity, you have to, that was one of the things that was supportive of the artists in Pixar. And at the time when we were working on Up, they said, you know, in order to get that authenticity, you got to go there and so true. You got to feel it. You got to smell it.
Yep.
You got to walk in it. You got to hear it. You got to, it's that thing you have to capture and put it into the film, because not a lot of people are fortunate enough to go there. And so if you do your job right, it feels authentic and real. And that's why Ratatouille, I think a lot of people in the culinary world appreciate that film because it respects the culinary world, and it's like it's real. It's a well-researched film in terms of, you know, that world. So.
I think Ricky, all of them are well researched, and I think that's why they're kind of hold their authenticity and beloved. But like I think, you know, there was one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about too on um, well, this is kind of selfish for me, but like I know that Ronnie, you spent a lot of your career in advertising and kind of making those sort of commercials that were kind of like boop boop boop, kind of like, you know, clear, concise statements. My favorite thing that Pixar, I'll say it now, and forever and in perpetuity, is like my favorite thing that Pixar has ever done is probably Up, and then my favorite moment that they did was the marriage montage, and that
That's
that
Ronnie.
me that makes me cry. I'll watch it now. I can go and watch it now, and I'll probably tear up. And I know that you had the opportunity to spearhead the sequence, and then that you had pulled from your experience in advertising, right? Of just kind of like how to tell a story succinctly and efficiently and emotionally, right? So like that's my favorite. I can't even think of like a moment in animation that affects me more than that sequence, even now. And how did you do it?
Well, thank you very much. Well, I would like to qualify that nobody does anything by themselves. By the time that we were making the opening of the movie, we had tried many versions of starting the movie. But this is the way that we are trained at Pixar, is to be able to tell the story fully. You have to be able to explore as many avenues as you can and be able to tell the story as best as you can. So we had managed to actually tell the story of Carl and Ellie from the time that they were little all the way up to the time when Ellie passes away. So we had about 40 minutes worth of story to tell that we wanted to tell, and we wanted to put it on screen. But the movie cannot start 40 minutes later.
Right.
It has to start relatively soon.
Yeah.
And because Pete Docter, the director, and Bob Peterson, the writer and co-director, had been mining for all of these things, both those people had been great partners together, but they also knew that when it came time to making the movie, because it's very difficult to actually kind of get the production moving in all fronts, they gave me that job to kind of distill the story, because we cannot just tell the story the way we want to, which is going to be 40 minutes long. So I've been telling them all this time that I felt like I work in advertising. I can make a story for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and let me cut it down for you guys. And you guys go and fix the rest of the movie. And they gave it to me. They gave it to me not only for being able to craft it, but they gave it to me all the way up to kind of layout and finish of it. So they told me, that's yours, go and do what you need to do. But not only that, we were also working on the stories of the characters. So all of that is just about the trust that we have between Pete Docter, Bob Peterson, myself, and those entire people that was in one part of Pixar that nobody bothered to go into. Ricky was there, I was there, and Pete Docter was there. We were kind of like a little studio inside the studio. We made the movie intimately connected to each other. Ricky's office is right next to me.
We were in this little zone, this little pod, away from everybody. It was pretty cool. It was magical, actually.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever been able to kind of conjure up that same chemistry. But making the movie was about being part of this little family that echoed each other. And I gotta say that in terms of the amount of design work that Ricky had done, that is like, it's a mission for the ages. And he put his indelible stamp on Up, from all the character designs and all the environment designs and the choosing colors and templates, and then mapping out the journey emotionally in terms of what you will appreciate in the movie. Ricky had decided to kind of say, I'm going to embrace all of that. I'm going to go and distill it and then put it in the movie. Because not only do we understand what Ricky can do, but because he's ingested the stories
Right.
of what we've been trying to do for these characters.
Yeah.
And then once they got expressed out into the movie, by then it would have been like 2 or 3 years in.
Yeah.
Everything that Ricky would choose, Pete Docter would say yes to, because we had been kind of been in this pressure cooker design, storytelling, narrative, and trying to make entertainment for so long that that group was the only group that could tell the story correctly.
Well, thank you for saying that, Ronnie, but there's a lot of people that worked on this movie.
I understand that.
And I could not have done it alone. And I was very, very fortunate and grateful for the opportunity to be the production designer and the leader of the art department. But I could not have done it without my team and the talent of that team. And just the fact that Ronnie was talking about the story team and the art team, we actually cross-pollinated as much as we could. We started off together in the same little zone, and we basically just, took everything. It just kind of just flowed naturally. It was tough. It was a lot of weird stuff. At one point, it wasn't a tupui at one point. Remember, Ronnie? It was like a cloud spaceship and all this stuff that Carl was going to go up to. But it was this thing where so many people contributed, and it really wasn't me. It's been said before. It's like one of my jobs is to stay out of people's way. But it's one of those things where it was a magical moment. That movie was.
It's still the best, most cohesive movie making experience I've ever had because of those relationships, and because the story started to become the kind of story that affected us, the storytellers.
And can I add one thing that I think is an important thing to this, is that while we were making it, it was hard. It wasn't like, oh, we figured it out and it's this old man and this kid. And it went all over the place. There was a time where Muntz was chasing the bird and he would lick eggshells and be young and do all this weird, it was super crazy. But what happened was that the emotion was always there. That storytelling was always there, the core, and stuff changed around it, but we believed in it as a group. Mm-hmm. A lot of people like outside of the studio and even Wall Street were like, get ready for your first failure, Pixar. How do you market an old man and a flying house and all that stuff? And you have to have faith and a passion that it's going to be great. And we knew it was going to be great, even in the darkest times. Just trusted each other. It was so awesome.
Because what Ricky's talking about is not just blind kind of adherence to these loyalties to these people that we were working with. By the time we were surprised by what the story reel was doing, because we were intimately connected to every piece of artwork, every story panel, every scratch dialogue that we made. But then we screen the movie. We watch it and we're nervous. We know it's not perfect. But then when we screen the movie, we watch it, it affects us, it affects our audience, which are the Pixar audience. And then everyone comes out saying that that is a powerful story. And we need that kind of validation because we believe in it. We think it affects us. But when your colleagues, your mentors, the leaders of the studio tell you that this has been a very challenging project because nobody knows how to tell the story. And we didn't think that you guys were going to succeed. Not only that, nobody really is clamoring for a story about an old man who flies his house with balloons, carrying a kid with him. Nobody's looking for that. But because the story reel was affecting the entire studio, when we screened only 2 acts to the studio, we didn't have a 3rd act. Everybody stood up, cheering, wondering, where's the rest of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why haven't you finished it? Just like we barely got ourselves
yeah.
together to finish this much. just to show you guys, we don't know what the third act looks like, but the studio responded like any audience. They decided that this is a worthy movie. And if you remember, Ricky, we were a pale green light.
That's right. Yeah. So when you get a
We
movie,
did not know if we were going to be a movie that Pixar will make.
yeah, it was always scary. Like there's so many stories of how it could not get made. You know, if someone died on the Tepui, it would not get made. You know, if that screening didn't go well, it might have not gotten made. It's one of those things. It's like, it's crazy.
And the lesson there for everyone listening is that no matter what the skills that we have, or no matter kind of how many hours we spent trying to make it, it still would be worthless if the movie itself didn't just do what it needed to do.
Right.
And can we go back to the married life sequence? Because I remember the power of that sequence.
I was gonna abashedly go back to the married life sequence just to say that. Sorry, Ricky, you were saying something. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say someone watched the movie. You know, I watched the movie thousands of times because, you know, as a production designer, you have to.
Yeah.
I scrutinize every frame, but one of the people are like, why did you do that opening? It like ripped my heart out. It was so powerful, blah, blah. And one of the things I remember is, if we didn't do that opening, you wouldn't care about why he would lift his house with balloons. It was because of the strength of that opening you rooted him on. This weird thing where it's like he takes balloons and lifts his house and goes off. It's like, what? But if you understood at that moment why he needed to do something like that, and that's the power of that opening sequence. And you know, it's like that can be a whole movie in itself.
I think the power of that opening sequence is like, if I can spend my life just making the opening sequences to Up, like as a short film for the rest of my life, I think I would be happy. Not in the same subject matter, but just how it made someone feel.
Well, I gotta also give props to the story team and Ronnie especially. A lot of the emotional sequences that you see in the great Pixar films, Ronnie boarded. And you know, when you see an Inside Out and you see you know, Joy down in the memory dump and she's remembering all those things and you're just feeling it, Ronnie boarded those things. That scene in Finding Nemo when Dory is going around in circles at the third act and she's trying to figure is at the end of second act or something, when she's just trying to remember, and this emotional sequence, that's Ronnie's boarding. And Ronnie, it's a superpower that he has. He connects, he boards with his heart. It's it's there as a foundation. Talk about an architect. The foundation is strong, and then the talented people at the studio just build upon that strong foundation, and then you just get this beautiful thing. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Ricky. I gotta go and kind of at least highlight one thing based on what Ricky's talking about. The studio allowed for us, the people who were making it, to make the movie.
Yeah.
Andrew Stanton was making his story about his relationship with his son. And everyone stayed out of his way. Everyone is willing to help him tell that story the best way he could. It's a very different thing when you work in a different studio wherein there is an expected kind of result, an expected kind of story that you're supposed to turn in. Pixar was about discovering the best kind of story to tell based on what this storyteller wants to say. And that kind of empowering, mind you, that was the first movie that I worked on. That's where I met everybody there. I'd met Ricky before, but Ricky and I got to work on Finding Nemo. And it's like, I understood that the culture was that if you trust these storytellers to tell a good story, they will deliver a good story. And when Andrew Stanton gave me all these missions to do for Finding Nemo, it was because not only does he want to trust people to tell that story with him, but he also knows that he doesn't have to solve everything himself.
That's right. And we failed a lot. There was a lot of failing was part of the process.
Yep. Yeah.
You know.
I will ask 2 questions because we're at 7:01, and I want to respect everyone's time. But like I think, so 2 questions really quickly from us. And so for me specifically, this is for me actually. So we've all been in the industry for a number of years. How do you guys refill your soul? How do you guys keep that sense of wonder for the awesome job that we have? What do you do?
I play the ukulele. That's what I do.
I drink whiskey and smoke cigars. That's
oh yeah, cool.
No, that's the jokey answer, but the answer really is kind of difficult because being in the movie industry, you have to risk a lot. We are not in a conveyor belt situation where we have to plug in just the right kind of piece to make a certain kind of product. So that means that you have to speak up. You have to kind of throw in a lot of things that will not work in the effort of trying to solve the general problem of how do you tell the story? How do you make this character empathetic? How do you tell an emotional story?
Yeah.
So there's a different path wherein if you belong to a different group or a different studio, wherein the culture is looking for the right answers and somebody owns the right answer. Somebody knows it. And they're just supposed to walk in and say the right answer. And because they're experts, they've had a lot of like experience, and they kind of come in and tell you, this is what's wrong with your movie. You got to put this, that, and the other thing. And the next thing you know, your movie is going to work.
Yeah.
Now, that isn't my experience working on movies at Pixar for 20 years. Yeah. No matter how smart we are, or no matter who it is that walks in the room that has the answers, we put it in the movie and it doesn't work. So what we only have right now when we are making these movies is a reliance on our storytellers. And that means the core group that wants to tell the story. You can tell the movies that come from Pixar has kind of like that core storyteller voice that wants to tell a cohesive, authentic, and emotionally affecting story. And if you don't honor that and just wait for the experts to come in and tell you, you'll be confused because I'm not doing the right thing in the right measures based on what the experts tell you. That's not what we do.
Isn't that weird? Like, what are the qualifications of the experts? I mean, like,
it's all their history of making great movies.
What sort of qualification do they have? Anyway, I can go off.
They usually have very great credentials and their ideas are very good, but a lot of the times it just doesn't work for the movie that we're trying to make.
Okay.
So if it was somewhat like, if it was a formula or at least a handful of formulas that you could actually grasp and put together, there would be tons of great movies that you can watch that are amazing. But it remains that the percentage of the movies that you tend to see as not only successful and emotional and gripping remains a certain group of films year after year. And it proves to us anyway that it's hard. You can't just magically make that happen. It's still about an investment of time and dedication and trying to mine for the most authentic and the most emotional thing that could happen in this movie. But it also has to mean that it isn't put on, because audiences know that if you're leading them on. Audiences know if this feels like tacked on. Yeah. And we try to guard for those things. We don't succeed all the time. But that's at least the generation of movies that we've made, that Ricky and I have been part of, had always had this test the test is that, is it good enough? Is it real enough? Does it feel real enough for us emotionally?
Mhm.
And we don't let go of that. So that's why when people ask us, why do your movies take so long?
Mhm.
They do, because we're not ready to let go of them yet. We're
Mhm.
not going to succeed all the time, but we're going to try all the time, all the way down to the end.
Right. Right. Got it.
I love hearing Ronnie talk.
I mean, and it's like Zen. Yeah, that's awesome.
And he's Filipino too. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, man, this don't come off.
um, and uh, so we'll ask you. Well, I want to get into the questions on Discord, but like 707. What would you guys really quickly? What would you guys like to show the world about Filipino culture moving forward? Ricky,
Ricky,
think.
what's the name of your studio, Ricky?
Oh, after my trip to El Nido, and I climbed this cliff. There was this tree that I passed by, and my guide, um, I asked him, "What kind of tree is this?" And he said, "Is the ipil ipil tree." And I couldn't get out of my head. I was like, "Man, it's a really cool tree." And he was as we were climbing, he was telling me about this tree. He says it takes a long time to grow. It's highly respected. We want to use it, cut it down, and use it for furniture and whatnot, but we don't want to do that because we respect it. And it's a really beautiful wood, and it's like a tamarind style seeds, and it was just a really cool thing. I think partly too, I was hallucinating because I was so high up and scared of my life from my life. No, but um, that was dumb. But anyway, as I was
Oh, that's
thinking
good.
about
That's
my next chapter,
yeah.
this was after 21 years at Pixar. I was shifting, and I said, you know what, Epil. Epil is going to be the name of my studio. So I call my studio Epil, IPIL, and it's also because it takes a long time to grow,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully people respect it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little bit of research on it, and it's one of my favorite woods is koa wood, and that's what I love. The ukulele, I love the koa wood,
Oh yeah.
the Hawaiian koa wood of the ukulele. And I did some research, and apparently the epil tree is a cousin of the koa family.
Oh
So
yeah.
it just all weirdly came together. And
Uh-huh.
then another thing is IPIL, I am Filipino, and I want to tell more of our stories. I want to tell the rich stories of our culture, the beauty of our culture. I want to share with the world the amazing stuff. And I think it's overdue, and I think that by seeing all the amazing stuff that people are doing, um, you know, of being Filipino in the Filipino culture. When I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of people in the animation that were Filipino. I saw Ruben Aquino, you know, at Disney, but I didn't see a lot. And uh, that's why it's really great that there's more exposure, there's more representation of people of color, of people understanding that it's a whole diverse group of people that make these films. And we put what we know in our values, our attitudes, our history, and we put it into these films and these stories, and it makes it richer. It makes it much more richer and much more global. I think that's really a cool thing. But there's so many amazing things. There's so many, like when Ronnie told me to go to Palawan, I didn't have any idea. I went and I saw how beautiful it is. I mean, it's literally placed on this earth to show what beauty is. you know Movies use that place as a location to show paradise. And there's a bunch of places on the earth like that, like in Bora Bora and Thailand and things like that, but there's so many more places like that in the Philippines. And I think the Philippines is the world's best kept secret.
Oh,
So
you should work with me, Ricky. I have like a series I'm trying to develop, like in
yeah,
Holland, like I said.
all this is Everything happens for a reason, dude. That's what I believe.
What do you think, Ryan?
That's true. Everything happens for a reason. There's a time in the season. All those little bumper stickers that you hear. We all try, and we all are currently all trying. But just to kind of go back to what became part of these very popular movies, there was a lot of Ricky in it. There was a lot of me in it. We participate. Our particular voices were part of the tapestry that made these movies. It wouldn't be the same if it wasn't something that Ricky and I contributed to. So even though that it would be like, this is Carl's story, it is Ellie's story, or if it's Inside Out, the strength of a studio that recognizes its membership and its storytellers are the ones making these movies. I would not have actually given myself a snowball's chance in hell to be writing in a Hollywood movie, given kind of where I came from,
Right.
what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be an illustrator.
Yeah.
But because I was part of a tribe in a little enclave here in Emeryville that wanted to support the people who actually were there to help make these movies. So the one thing I'm very proud of is that they believe, not only they believe it, but they walk their talk. That means that the people who happen to be running the business of making movies have kind of linked arms with the people who are creating these stories to say that the most important thing that we make in the studio are the stories.
Yeah.
So, regardless of what it means to have a successful business, to have a prudent business, to have an efficient business, was going to have to take a back seat to making great stories.
Right.
Now, that is not easy to arrive at. It's not easy to find in any part of any entertainment business that you find on the planet. Because as a business, you're supposed to be profitable. You should be able to propagate your success and repeat it over and over again. But the high wire act of the culture that was in Emeryville is that story, we say it, is king. And we try and live it as much as we can. We're not ignoring the business part because this is still commerce. We want to make sure that the stories not only go out there and satisfy, but it actually translate to people coming back for more. So we believe that entertainment, good stories, emotional stories that affect the whole world is a good business model. That comes not only from the culture, but the leadership, from Steve Jobs himself. That's the kind of dedication to how to organize how you would judge your decisions every day in making these movies. Not that. If you were going to judge this just based on business and not the amazing story you're making, we can't do that. Our game number one is amazing stories for the world. Not easy to do because we don't succeed all the time, and it is very hard. Making movies will break your heart. It'll crush your soul. It'll test everything that you want to give into it and more.
But that's why you love it too.
That is also kind of the most ridiculous thing that I know is that I keep doing it every freaking year that I say, I don't want to make any more of these things. Ricky,
that we're lucky enough to do it. Yeah, that we're lucky enough to be able
to do any more of these things after I'm done. That's the last one. Thankless, painful, heartbreaking job. I don't deserve this. I can't do this anymore. That's it. I'm not going to do this anymore. But then there's this little high you get. And it doesn't happen on command. It happens every little now and then. It's like panning for gold in a place where there is no gold. But you get just a little hit of it somewhere.
Yeah.
A little success in a little story session, in a writing session, in the design of a character.
I see.
Floating as if like, tomorrow is going to be, it's going to suck again tomorrow, but you get a little something. Why are you in this job? What pressures you?
I see in the chat, the brilliant Chris Ure saying story, the terror and the ecstasy.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. I'm up on chasing. What is it, Ricky? Was it chasing the dragon? Was it the drug
Yeah,
expression?
chasing the dragon.
I will say really quickly, let me know if you guys have a heart out. And if you guys have a heart out, just peace out, and that's fine too.
See ya.
I wanted to get to a few
Fine,
Discord questions. Phil, Flippin' Phil says, a question for Ronnie Del Carmen. What advice can you give for aspiring Filipino animators who want to make it into the industry? Discovering you and your story actually inspired me even to consider animation. So he's talking about you. I mean, dude, you inspired this person to even.
Oh my goodness, that's quite an amazing tribute, but also a great responsibility. I don't think I can take on all of it because Bobby, Ricky, you guys know what it takes to actually do this. Don't be results oriented, because if you're looking to kind of arrive, then you will be disappointed. Mind you, if your mindset was somewhere else or another way, you will still have disappointment. So the one thing that, I mean, we talked about it just now, the one thing that really kind of makes me feel alive is happening on to this enclave of storytellers. When we get together, we kind of celebrate when we find something. It won't work tomorrow. Today we found something. That was funny. That was amazing. That was authentic. We keep it, we nurture it, it dies the next day. But you live for that little moment when it kind of worked. It did. And then you try again, over and over again. So I've seen this
Wait
in
a minute.
people.
How do you know if it worked?
Because you're playing with a bunch of people who are your brothers and sisters in making stuff, and they sit up. These are human beings, right? Who know what bullshit is. And they'll tell you. They know it. They know it's bullshit if it's bullshit. That's the kind of
yeah.
you have. Ricky knows this, right?
It's a crazy thing. It's like music, right? You hear amazing musicians play, but there's something about great music. They're just like, they're setting out to make great music, but it's like, it's hit or miss, you know? And it's this thing where we just take it in viscerally and we're like, wow, that totally sounds great.
Right.
And a lot of other people agree.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to figure out what that is. But then you also, as an artist, have to grow and change and challenge yourself. And so you don't do the same thing over and over, because if you keep doing that, the public is just going to go, that's the same thing. And I think that everyone goes through that, you know?
Yeah. And even in those moments when you feel like you failed or succeeded, hopefully you find your tribe. Hopefully you find like-minded people that you can kind of workshop with. This is an important word, workshopping, because nothing is ever done.
Yeah.
Keep making things with other people, keep making them, and then show it to your compatriots. And then
and people you trust, right, Ronnie? I mean, you have to trust them.
Yeah.
You have to know that they're going to tell you the truth.
That they will tell you it made them laugh, it made them feel. And they'll tell you, but they also tell you this part didn't work. This one fell short. If you can find those people around you, and mind you, there are many different levels. You're always going to learn something new. So it isn't about finding the right answer. This has always kind of plagued me when I was growing up in the Philippines, where in school, you're always taught that you're supposed to regurgitate the right answer. Somebody knows the right answer, you're supposed to say it. Whereas in storytelling and in movie making, even an entire industry that includes live action, we don't know. We got to put the story up to find out if it actually is working. And only when it's working do we say that works. And then when it's not working, you say that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you only keep the parts that work and
Right.
leave out the part that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Seems easy, but you're also treading on other people's feelings, people's lot of hard work. And then there's the meter that's running and the
Yeah.
money that's running out, all of those things. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of moxie, it takes a lot of experience, but you can't do it by studying it. You have to do movies. You have to tell stories. You have to be failing at it at every turn. No matter how many Oscars you've had, you're still going to fail at it. You're not going to be great at it. Be prepared for that. But most of the people I know who work on this industry knows that failure is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to try again.
Yeah.
And you know, what was taught to me at the studio was failing is not the problem, not learning from the failure is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that was empowering, because it's okay to fail. And then they say fail early, fail often.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets scary because the time is ticking away, the money is being used, all that stuff. So it's art and commerce, right? It's that battle that constantly happens.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the stuff that it's like you know, your taste gets developed. When you're a kid, you taste wine, you're like, this is horrible. And as later on, you start drinking it a little. Well, when you're an adult, you start to drink. You know, like you're a connoisseur of whiskey, Ronnie, and I don't like I don't like it. But the thing, personally, but the thing is, over time, you just it becomes this thing where you know all the nuances and the idiosyncrasies of it, and it's never easier. It just you can get to that answer a bit faster, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. Bobby just is like, I'm out. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That is true, because you always find people who are better at it than you, and then they will kind of shame you into trying to get better. I've had many situations wherein I've stuck my foot in my mouth, think that I know everything, and then it's in a big room wherein more experienced people actually can speak to the subject, and I will have to quiet down because that's the time to listen. So these things philosophically is about making stories. You have to, in order to get better at making stories, it's not to get it right. It's actually just to keep making them so that you learn from making them.
And it's scary. Like you're running a marathon. Like Ronnie's saying, just run the marathon. Just put one foot in front of the other.
Ricky's run a number of marathons.
Well, I've done some things. I've done triathlons, and it gets hard. It gets hard at a certain point. You're like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. You know, or if someone comes in a car, I'm just going to get in that car and go home. But
I would advise people to make not only flip books, I would want them to just draw 4-panel comic strips, anything to intrigue you enough to actually keep making them and improving them, because you are going to get better. There is no way that me growing up in the Philippines could actually do what I do if it wasn't for the fact that I got forced into a situation to actually have to crunch as much story, as much story problems, as much disappointments that I've ever encountered. It made me sharper. I can hang in any writer's room now, and it would still make me insecure, but I could hang in any writer's room in Hollywood and feel like I kind of understand this game. I kind of know what this is. I've been through it. If you were going to go into a writer's room right now anywhere and you haven't been through the gamesmanship and kind of the opportunities of when to throw in and what to throw in, you would be destroyed. You got to kind of like level up each time. And you're going to level up not because of the things that you did right, but it'll be about the things.
I feel like this is great. I don't know if we talked about Filipino like voices specifically. So what do you guys think about that?
You
Aspiring
mean telling
Filipino-American
Philippine?
artists and that kind of stuff. And um, and you know, for no, like what I said before, of like, what advice can you give aspiring Filipino animators making it into the industry? Like that specifically, I think it's a tough question, right?
Yeah, it is. I did a panel. Well, I was the only one there. When they asked me the same thing, and then I said to them, "It's like, well, your calling card is your short, is your film, is your novel,
Mm-hmm.
graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
That means you have something to say, and you were actually able to say it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't wait for someone to discover you that you're awesome.
You have to put that stuff out there.
You have to actually make something.
Yeah.
So, how is anyone going to go and stub their toe on this greatness that is you if you haven't made anything? This is also how Hollywood works.
Yeah.
They have that phrase, what is your calling card? My calling card is this short that got nominated for an Oscar. Somebody knows his experience intimately.
Yeah.
Yes, that's your calling card. People will sit up and listen to you. You have done it. But if you are still just that awesome person that you suspect you are,
Yeah.
and you have all these skills that you know you have, but you haven't made something.
Right.
You don't have to make it all yourself. What if you participated in somebody else's movie, in somebody else's short, in somebody else's graphic novel?
Right.
You level up. It's like a video game. I don't know. I love video games. So video games is like leveling up. You have the training, first level, and then it becomes hard, the first boss level, and then the next thing it feels like this game is impossible. I can never get past this one boss. And then you do.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta make something. But not only make something, you gotta show it to people.
Yeah.
Get the feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, you know, for Finding Nemo, I was happy that Nelson Bohol and I were designing stuff for the
That's
yeah, for the aquarium, and Nemo sleeps in a nipa hut. That's for sure.
yeah, man. Yeah.
And then Mount Wanahakaluki is actually inspired by the Mayon volcano in
Yep.
you know, in the Philippines. So it's stuff like that. That's really cool to kind of sneak in.
Yeah. And then I guess for more questions from the Discord, Kira, our moderator, asks, what do you hope or wish for the new generation of Southeast Asian artists to bring to the table, and what legacy do you want them to leave behind? You know, that kind of comes on the heels of the Raya trailer, but like,
Yeah.
what do you guys think about that? Kira,
It's
hello.
a movie
Kira,
centered on Southeast Asia.
Hello, thank you for joining. What do you guys think?
Oh, I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah.
You know, it's I whenever I watch a trailer, I kind of, because I went to film school and I've been in the industry for a while.
Yeah.
I have to weirdly divorce myself because I know that there's the art of the trailer, and then I have to watch the film in order for me to think about it properly, you know. But just the fact that there's a story for Southeast Asia, or I don't know, is she a princess? Is she a Disney princess? I don't know. Did you work on it, Bobby, at all, or?
No, I didn't. Okay. So I don't know anything about it. But like, I know that the most Filipino things are the fighting sticks and then the sword.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of part of the tapestry of Southeast Asia, you know, because before the colonists arrived, these were all over parts of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, and the southern Philippines. So I'm glad that there is a movie that was put out, that is being put out by Disney, that everyone will watch. So the vernacular of having this imagery is going to lay the groundwork for all of you out there who are from Southeast Asia, and some of you who are from Asia, or any part of the non-dominant ethnicity that is kind of part of movie storytelling lore. You now have kind of this path that people are not going to say, I have never seen that before.
Yeah.
Right? So it makes it easier for all the rest of you and us to be able to say stories that echo and resonate these images, the tone, and the kind of stories that come out from this region. That means all of you, right? So if you are Filipino or you're Malaysian, Indonesian, and from Myanmar, Cambodia, and Thailand, and Vietnam, and every country that's part of Southeast Asia, all of you now, because Disney has done this, now have a path that kind of got cleared out so that you can occupy it. And what stories will you tell? That is a very big stamp that they've done. So that is a very good thing. So all the other kinds of stories that can come in now, right, is up to these storytellers who we've not heard from yet.
You know, it's an exciting time in film because you have Crazy Rich Asians being a super big success. You have, you know, Black Panther. You have all this representation happening in Hollywood now, which is exciting. But I think there still needs to be more and better. And I think it's time. It's like you're saying. It's really an exciting time for me, in my opinion. It's really cool, and it's just starting. It's overdue, but it's really cool.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Ricky mentioned not only Crazy Rich Asians, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and Black Panther. Black Panther had done something magical in that it created a what we call an alternate history that you can be proud of if your heritage was connected. Because in Southeast Asia, we have a history that's been cut off from each other. Because we have, in most of the countries in Southeast Asia, we have very colonized histories that had kept us from being connected to each other. So what I thought that Black Panther did was that it imagined an Africa that thrives, cohesive, undisturbed. And we still have that opportunity to tell a cohesive Southeast Asian story that connects all of us, all of these countries, because we're related. The Chris sword that is shown prominently in Raya is common through most of Southeast Asia, if not all. The conical hat that you can say is like every country in Southeast Asia would say we have one of those. And every child growing up watching this movie would say, that story is about me. It encompasses the entire region. It makes you feel like that's us. That's great. So what other stories can there be given that that's there?
That's right. There's tons.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then Ricky, I mean, like, I think, you know, from the beginning of like that, all of that stuff with the like hats and all that kind of stuff. But like, I think, how can we sort of like put forth just kind of like anything, just kind of like the Asian American sort of storytelling, because I think the only reason why I got motivated was because someone put out the thing, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but like um I don't know what you guys feel, but like I am ready to put forth the Filipino um like the voice into the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it now, and I'll die trying with Disney, and we'll see how they
Yeah,
respond.
you have an opportunity, which is awesome, man. And it's kind of this thing where, my wife's a chef, and I'm so lucky that she's a chef. And there's so many great foods out there. There's so many great cuisines out there. It's like there's just not one. And people love Italian food, people love Mexican food, people love Filipino food, people love Chinese food.
Yeah.
There's great meals out there that come from family recipes, family traditions. You gotta share that and let people taste it and know. And then it's like, oh, I love lumpia. Well, have you had this? Have you had, kare kare? And it's like, well, this is not that good. Well, did you try this recipe from this region of the Philippines? And it's this whole thing of just trying to find that lightning in a bottle when it comes to the right thing. And it's hard. It's crazy. I don't know.
Bobby, you're doing this, and more power to you. Let the population of Filipino creators out there know that you're doing this, because that expression, mighty forces will come to your aid.
Well, I think we're all doing this, guys. It's not only me; it's you, and you are my luminaries. So I just wanted to thank you guys and take you guys off the hook. It's not that late, actually, but take you guys off the hook and just let you know that it was amazing getting to talk to you guys and Ronnie, Ricky, Bobby, and Mike. Mark, Red, Dave,
Thank you, Mike.
I mean, I mean, really, really, sincerely, it's amazing. I mean, you guys are my heroes, and I can't even imagine like doing another thing with you guys again. Can you serenade us out with the thing? Yeah.
Ricky, go for it.
Out with the thing.
You got a friend in me. No, I'm just
Oh no! Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Do it, Ronnie. Ronnie, come on.
I don't know. Ricky's actually the virtuoso of ukulele.
Just follow him.
You know what we did? What we did was, remember we sang Dahil Sa'yo at Pixar?
Oh my God!
Yeah, we sang that, and we were backed up by this amazing band,
Nino, man.
Newton and his ska band, and we did an ukulele rendition of Dahil Sa'yo, and then Nino's band.
Oh, Dahil Sa'yo.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Hell no, I'm not doing it again.
Singing that and then ska it up.
Yeah, it was amazing. But
whatever you guys do, I'll sing it.
Happy trails to you. Do we meet again?
What's happening?
I don't know what's going on.
Come on, Ronnie.
Thanks, everybody. Are we done? Are we?
No. We're gonna serenade people out with one more song, and then we're done.
Oh no.
Okay.
That wasn't part of the deal.
Thank everybody who stopped by, all
Yeah.
of you guys who decided to take time off to come and listen to a few of us talk about our careers. I don't know what time it is wherever you are. Hopefully you're not lacking in sleep after this. And if you are, I hope it was worth it.
Oh man.
And
listen, and then we're gonna serenade out you with this. Here it goes, guys. I'm gonna sing.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm gonna sing.
What do you want to sing?
It's the rainbow song, right?
Oh.
Over the rainbow.
Okay.
Us. This is going amazing.
I'm busting up. I can't do it. My fingers are working right now. Thanks, everybody. I really do appreciate this. And
thank you, Bobby, for having us. This was amazing. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to so many people, and hopefully you find something useful in all the things that we were talking about.
And thank you to Rise Up Animation for existing and having,
Everything.
Exposing the different beautiful cultures that we all share in the world.
Awesome. Well,
especially during this time.
Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you guys next time. Eh? Bye,
yeah,
guys.
I hope so.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, brother. Mike Bivens in the building.
We should do some new edition songs.
Salamat po. Sa ulitin.
I picked them out.
Okay. All right. Everyone sing bye-bye. Salamat.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
How does this
okay?
end? Do
You guys are good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Next time that you see Ricky walking around.
Another one. Let's do another one.
Drinks.
It's kind of like at the end of a movie where there's like that little extra button, bonus button. I saw someone saying the never-ending Zoom. It's Filipino style.
Sorry.
End of the party, you can't say goodbye. You got to go outside.
Come on, Ricky. We never see each other ever. When are we gonna see each other again? It's probably gonna be like 2025.
No, that's not gonna. No, come on.
No.
Sing along goodbye. Yeah, that's right.
Play.
Let's see here. What's the song?
Yeah, I bring the band, man.
I don't know.
Ricky,
give me a song, Bobby. Give me a song.
Can you play Filipino songs, Ricky?
I can play it if I have the music in front of me.
Any requests for Ricky playing Bahay Kubo?
Which one?
Bahay Kubo. Can you play that?
In what key?
Ocho or Tayo Dahil Sayo.
Freebird.
Not Freebird. That's not a good thing. All right. Dahil Sayo. Can you play that?
Yeah.
Dahil Sayo.
Okay, you're gonna sing it?
Nope. I will not.
Oh, come on. See, you're gonna bring that up, and then you're gonna.
Well, no, because it was in the chat. It's in the chat.
Let's see.
Buwan. Can we play Buwan? Do you know how to play Buwan?
Which one?
Buwan? Oh no, it's okay. Dahil Sayo. Yeah, it's fine. I can't sing it because I don't know.
Can't sing that one? Why not?
How
about, do you know Bahay Kubo? You know that one?
No. But you sing it anyway. I'll just
I'm not a singer.
Go ahead. Do it.
Wow, someone put a lot of songs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Man, that's pretty heavy. Man. That was amazing. Look at that. I got to get a copy of that, what you just wrote.
Wow.
Go ahead, Ricky. Do it.
I'm
not going to sing. I'm just going to...
You're not going to sing?
No.
Come on, everybody sing along.
You should invite Martin Rivera and Joe Corey to do a panel with us. Martin will sing, Joe Corey will make a clap, and I will dance.
Okay, we have a you want to sing Lava?
Does anyone want to sing
Bobby.
Lava? Does anyone want to sing Lava? Oh, Jeff Ranjo.
Yeah,
Jeff.
the Ranjo wants to
Jeff
do
Ranjo, get in here, you mother F. And you
Ranjo comes
mother oh, promoted to panelist, so you can't deny.
Where is he? There he is.
Jeff Ranjo, let's do it. Let's sing Lava. Lava. Yo, get out.
A long, long time ago, there was a volcano living all alone in the middle of the sea. Go ahead, Jeff. Come on, Jeff.
Jeff, get out of here. You asshole. Get out. I don't know. Wait, hold on. No,
We have to do this a weekly. Start charging.
Jeff, get out of here.
$1 beer for every.
Jeff,
Ooh,
I have.
that was good. That was good. Okay, get that going.
Yeah! Special guest in the house.
Get that going. Get that going.
Go.
Go, Jeff.
A long, long time ago, there was a volcano.
Stop. Wait, stop.
I
Stop.
don't know the rest of the lyrics.
Stop. Stop.
I'm cleaning my bathroom right now, dog.
Stop. Wait till Ricky. Wait till Ricky.
Wait, no. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, go.
What?
Jeff Ranjo is in the slough. He has to clean his bathroom. And he's in the middle of a...
Wait, no, I'm down to sing the actual song.
Oh, come on. I like these lyrics.
The actual song. Okay, ready?
This is totally a Filipino goodbye.
Oh, Jeff.
Okay, ready?
Are you go?
Alright, go.
Yes.
Go,
What?
go, Ricky.
Dude.
1.
So yeah, go.
2, 3, go.
Who's singing?
You are.
I am.
Bobby is?
Yeah.
No, both of us.
Go.
Bobby? What? I thought you
Tornado, my tears are down, tornado.
keep going.
Tornado when it the tornado when it
The most off the hook podcast you've ever done, Bobby. I don't know. They're gonna take your license away. You know. I say no more from you.
This is literally
Man, you violated the
people
speed
who
limit,
stayed on.
the appropriateness of these podcasts. We're gonna come over and we're gonna break your thumb.
Shouldn't you guys have kept playing?
Yeah, but the people who
What?
turned on who were
Waiting for the
lucky
lyrics.
and
This is shit.
brave enough to stay with us, they were
I
brave
know,
enough.
we're gonna go do shots. So he's just like,
Yeah, let's
you know,
just take this. Take
I
the Zoom.
do. I've been doing them the whole freaking time.
Okay.
Keep
Yeah.
it G-rated, Ronnie.
Animation, you think animation runs on wishes? No, it runs on whiskey. Yay.
Yeah.
The real Zoom.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
The real Zoom now.
Yeah.
When
So
Jeff
let's,
Ranjo comes on board, it's on.
I will say, because everyone's here, let's end it on your guitar strums, and then we'll crush it, and then we'll call it a day.
There you go. Let's
Oh.
give a
Let's see.
And then, can you?
F for Filipino.
I mean, you guys
Oh.
know the fucking song. Can you just sing it? Like, why do I have to sing it? I don't know.
Because you're the host.
It's your show.
Yeah,
Because
It's your show.
You
You're
sing
the.
it.
remember
It's
back
my
in
show,
the
so
day,
you sing it.
it's called the
So
Dean
you
Martin
guys sing
show.
it, and then when you guys are done, let's go.
So F, G7, C. 1, 2, 3.
I don't know.
C. See you real soon.
Wait, I thought you guys were gonna play the song.
No, we were just signing off.
We were signing off.
We're just
I
like,
asked you
that was
guys to
it.
play the song. Hey, listen, I
People
paid
agree.
you guys.
Since it's
I
Bobby's
paid
show,
you
you
guys
gotta
no dollars to play the song. Play the song.
I know it is a Filipino get together because nobody wants to go because there's still booze, there's still
Play
lumpia.
the song, dude. Play the song. Play the song.
Which the lava song?
Oh yeah, lava.
You want to do lava?
Yeah, lava.
Okay,
Please.
hold
Thank
on.
you.
It's the same chords, right, Jeff?
C.
C, G7, F.
I don't know. I don't.
Isn't that what it is? Lava chords.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
memorized it. And
People from the
my
Philippines-
apologies.
It's the 3 chords.
When do we go drinking?
Oh, you go drinking when you finally accomplish this.
When we
You know, because I was wondering, it's like, oh look, tagay mo na. It's like, yeah.
yeah. After Tabay Muna is after you kind of like
You
after
sign off. Right?
serenade us.
You
Sign up.
be your
Yeah, let's go,
own.
guys.
We.
Mm.
All right, I gotta sign off because I'm running out of power. So it's
Yes.
Bobby. It's your guys' show. I gotta go. Like,
Just go now.
let you guys.
Just go now.
It's so
Just go
good
now.
to see you, man.
Power bill.
It's what a pleasant surprise, dude.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for hearing.
Thanks for having me on. It was unexpected. I was just trying to be dumb.
Bobby gets us
No.
all together, which maybe never now.
I know.
There'll
I'm
be
so
like
sorry,
12 more Filipinos playing
man. I know.
ukulele
I'm so
and
different.
not playing the same song.
Yeah, let's just play all at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, Jeff.
Bye. See ya. Thanks for having me.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
You didn't say
Happy Filipino-American Month.
Yay!
American
You didn't mean
Yay,
that.
yay. All right.
Heritage Month.
I'm out.
All right.
How do you turn this off?
Oh well, no, it's gonna be awkwardly on.
Oh man.
But thank you guys for
Bobby's
coming.
got to be the last one, so I'm gonna go and sign off.
Yep.
And Ricky. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Sorry for the mayhem, and hopefully you got
No.
something out of this. Mabuhay.
Hi, Ronnie.
Bye.
Bye, Ronnie. Take care.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Rise
Yeah,
of
no problem.
Nation. Thank you,
Thank you.
community.
Thank
Thank
you so
you
much.
for showing
Bye,
up.
everybody. Take
You guys
care,
are the best.
everybody.
Take care.
Mabuhay.
Stay
And
safe, everyone.
yeah. Hope
Bye.
to see you soon. Bye, guys.